Welcome to the Scene Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Scene Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Borak. I'm joined by my good friend, editor, and producer, KJ. KJ, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Justin. I know we're dropping this episode on April Fool's Day, but this episode is anything but a joke. You want to tell them what we've been cooking?
That is wonderful. And KJ and I have a little surprise for all of you. For these next upcoming episodes, we have been doing something. We've had something in the works. We've had something cooking up that we're very, very pumped up. We have been interviewing some of the best and brightest of Broadway, of the theater industry, of the world. And we are bringing these interviews directly to your ears. We are so pumped. We've had some of the coolest playwrights, some of the coolest performers, some of the coolest theater creators and industry makers. And it's just been so exciting. I cannot wait. Today, we are starting with Jeanna de Waal. Of course, Diana from Diana the Musical on Netflix, on Broadway. Amazing. She was just covering Mrs. Lovett and Sweeney Todd between Sutton Foster and Annalie Ashford. Absolutely crazy. And also, she's the founder of Broadway Weekends, a very cool adult theater summer camp. And I loved chatting with her. It was so much fun. I cannot wait for you all to hear it. So before I keep jabbering on, let's just get right to the episode. KJ, let's get to the first segment.
Shows you should know.
All right, it's time for Shows You Should Know, the segment where I get to do my favorite thing in the world, tell you all about plays and musicals you might not have heard of but need to consume ASAP. And here's the thing, if you thought just because we're doing these really awesome, very cool interviews, that we weren't gonna recommend shows to you, boy oh boy were you wrong. No one could stop me from reading plays and talking about them. It's my favorite thing in the world. And I have three awesome ones for you, so let's talk about it. First one, a new play. I just read it. It's called Bloodshot by Eleanor T. Vanderberg. Here's the story, okay? A city that and I'm reading directly off the website because I love the way it describes this play, okay? A city that never sleeps. A bloody New Year's surprise, a lonesome coroner on the brink. Oh, I just love those three sentences. They're beautiful. Bloodshot is a vicious psycho caper. I think I'm saying that right. Psycho caper. It's like a psychological. Yeah. Justin, have faith in yourself. Bloodshot is a vicious psycho caper that pits the deprived against the depraved in a peace-starved, pulp-inspired mystery. Unreliably narrated with a vibrant, twisted cast of characters, Bloodshot confronts the audiences with a unraveling network of the self, inviting them to venture through the hotbed of a very human meltdown and beyond. Okay, I'm trying to think how to word this. Do you know how, sometimes playwrights can really embody a genre on the stage that is really, really hard to do? The first thing I think of is horror and Grey House. I've never seen jump scares in a play like that before. Bloodshot brings noir to the stage in this, really great dark comedy. I love the twist of, it's basically the plot of it is that this is New York City, the city that never sleeps, but literally, in the last 3 years, no one has slept in New York. No one's had a natural slumber. And it's all about this person trying to figure out a crime. There's some cursing in it. There's a lot of drugs and murder. So it's for sure PG-13. But if you're a noir fan, if you're a neo-noir movie fan, this is a play that is astounding. I was reading it and I was like, I need to see this show on the stage because kind of like Grey House, I wanted to know how do you even do this play? And this playwright, Eleanor T. Vanderberg, does a great job of explaining how to do it in the text while also keeping it open for interpretation, for the understanding of what this genre is and playing with it as you would. If you're a noir fan and you have the ability to put this in your season, oh my gosh, go for it, because it's perfect. But Bloodshot, Eleanor T. Vanderberg, one of the coolest, most adventurous reads I've read in a while. This next play is one of my favorite plays in the world. That's not a joke at all. Bad Jews by Joshua Harmon. The night after their grandfather's funeral, three cousins engage in a verbal and sometimes physical battle. In one corner, Daphne, the real Jew, who is volatile, self-assured, and unbending. In the other is her equally stubborn cousin Liam, a secular and entitled young man who has his shiksa girlfriend Melody in tow. Stuck in the middle is Liam's brother Jonah, who tries to stay out of the fray. When Liam stakes claim to their grandfather's chai necklace, it's like a little golden necklace that the patriarch of a family wears, a vicious, hilarious brawl over family, faith, and legacy ensues. This was one of my first ever like professional shows that I did. This play is brilliant. It's Joshua Harmon, I think, is one of the greatest playwrights alive. He's wonderful. He writes contemporary realism so well, but this play is just truly like a family at the brink, like a family at the edge. They're grieving in their own way, and they're figuring out like what to do with this piece of family history, but also this important religious relic between the three of these like family members. It's brilliant. If you are Jewish, if you have Jewish family, anything like that, oh my gosh, read this play, look at it. It's such an interesting, we did it at a professional theater company in upstate New York, connected with a JCC, a Jewish Community Center, and we were able to talk to a lot of elderly Jewish people and just contemporary Jewish families and talk about how this play talks about Judaism. It's beautiful. It's rated R for sure, but it is an amazing play. I've given it to a lot of people, and oh my gosh, I just can't stop thinking about it. It's my favorite play I think I've ever performed in my life. Bad Jews, Joshua Harmon. If you love contemporary new works, read it. I mean, read everything by Joshua Harmon. Prayers for the French Republic. I'm so sad I missed it on Broadway recently, but I've heard it's amazing and he is killer. So Bad Jews, an amazing play. The last one I want to talk about is a new play I read. It's called The Things She Held by Martha Epstein. Okay, so it follows a girl as she delivers an acceptance speech to one person or a few people or an empty space or a collective of memories. It's a play about how we hold on to things that we love, and maybe how it's time to let them go. And do they go? And where do they go? And do they really last forever? Can everything last forever? Like, what is going on? It's about a young woman who is like figuring out what to do with her heart, with her feelings, with her memories in this, like, it's not a one-woman show. There are other people in it, but it is this like weird thing where the playwright, first off, this playwright, Martha Epstein, I've never read any of her work. This is the first thing I've read of hers, and it is wonderful. It's perfectly balanced with fantastical and beautiful and sweet. It's a shorter play. It also has amazing monologues for young women. Seriously, pull from the character of she in this play. It's awesome. But it's such a beautiful little story about holding on to things that we love. And I don't know. I love plays that have this like kind of speech element to it. Kind of like what the Constitution means to me. I really, really enjoy that. And I think this play does that really well for young audiences. It's definitely for young audiences. And I mean, it doesn't have to be. It can be for anybody, but it is perfect for young audiences. It's perfect for competition. It's just a really, really fun play that I personally loved very, very much. It's on Play Scripts, I believe. So go check that out. But yeah, those are the three plays. The Things She Held by Martha Epstein, Bad Jews by Joshua Harmon, and Bloodshot by Eleanor T. Vanderberg. And that's the shows you should know.
Theater in a minute.
That's right. It's time for Theater in a Minute, where I explain something from theater past, present, or future as quickly as my brain lets me. Now, with doing all these, with doing a bunch of interviews, you don't know how many we have, but we have a lot, and I'm very excited. I wanted to branch off from talking about playwrights in this section, which I did a lot, and talk more about theater methods, theater history, types of theater. And today we're talking about something that every single movement theater professor knows. We're talking about Suzuki. So KJ, let's get into it. Start the clock in 3, 2, 1. Suzuki theater, also known as the Suzuki method of actor training, is a renowned approach of actor training and theater production developed by Japanese theater artist Tadashi Suzuki. Here's a brief history. So Suzuki founded the Suzuki method in the 1970s in Toga Village, Japan. And he wanted to create a rigorous and comprehensive training system for actors that drew upon the elements of traditional Japanese theater, kind of like kabuki, yes, as well as his own innovations and his own insights. So he started developing this with the idea to emphasize it in physicality, in discipline, in focus. Training sessions often, and if you've done this before, you know exactly what I'm talking about, they revolved in repetitive exercises focused on developing a strong and grounded presence on stage, as well as cultivating breath control and vocal projection. So these techniques were influenced by Suzuki's background in martial arts, and he had a thing. He was a Zen meditation guru person. So he took his love and his work in the theater, especially in kabuki, then he took his work in martial arts and Zen meditation and kind of combined it, right? So then he combines and he creates the Suzuki Company of Toga in 1976. And it's like a platform to showcase his theatrical works and develop the Suzuki method while also teaching young actors what this method is and like learning also how to not just create and experiment and create theater with it, but experiment and figure out how to tailor his method perfectly for the actor, because that's what it's for. I know a huge problem with students, with people coming in, is being able to talk loud. It sounds so simple, but vocal projection is such a complicated thing for each actor because it's a completely different issue for everybody. Everyone has to figure out how to get past that hump. And Suzuki focuses so heavily on breath control, so heavily on repetitive exercise, so heavily on that Zen meditation that he does, that personally I was able to work in Suzuki, not in Japan, but in my graduate program. And it really does help focus you, and it helps you focus down on the couple things that you really need to work on as an actor and get into it, dig really, really, really deep. I mean, that's why there's been so much international recognition for the Suzuki method. I do not know one graduate program that doesn't teach it. I don't know one collegiate program that doesn't talk about it. Suzuki is such an important, such an influential method of actor training, of theater, that you kind of can't get around it. It's a wonderful, brilliant thing. It will make you sweat so much, but it's helped a lot of people in their craft. It's made substantial contributions to the development of not just historical theater, not just Japanese theater, but contemporary theater and contemporary theater education. Suzuki, Tadashi Suzuki, that's a little brief history on what it is, on who he is, on the importance of it. And if you're someone who likes to go to the gym and you're also a theater person, just join a Suzuki class. It honestly, for any fitness buffs in the theater world, I'd be surprised if you're not really into Suzuki. I feel like it's kind of killing two birds with one stone. It was my exercise for weeks when I was doing it in grad school. All right, that's enough about me. That's enough about Suzuki, okay? That's absolutely enough. KJ, we can move on.
And now, an interview with Jeanna de Waal.
All right, I am joined for our first interview with Jeanna de Waal, actor, educator, known for her infamous tenure in the titular role of Princess Diana in Diana the Musical, as well as the founder of Broadway Weekends and Adult Theater Summer Camp. She's currently the standby for Mrs. Lovett and Beggar Woman in Sweeney Todd on Broadway, and just finished a short stint as Mrs. Lovett with Nicholas Christopher in the show. Jeanna, how are you?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. We're so pumped to start off doing interviews on the show, and I was so excited when I found out that our first one was going to be you. So I'm so excited. I'm a huge fan. I like starting off interviews and stuff by asking some things that maybe the audience might not know, because again, you are critically acclaimed in so many things, and I can't wait to get to those. But I was wondering, is there like a credit of yours or something you've done in your career that not a lot of people know about? Because I feel like when we're in this industry, sometimes you do so many things, some things fall by the wayside that you're really proud of. So I didn't know if there's anything in that realm for you.
Definitely. I would say so. I grew up in a performing arts boarding school, and then I went like straight into the business. So for a while, I had just been like performing. And in my like mid 20s, I was like, there's more to me. There's got to be more to me. So I definitely had that like, let's be a writer, director phase. And I wrote a pilot. We shot it, we edited it, we entered it into festivals. It won like a little festival in New York, like it was
That's
so much
so
fun
sick.
and so great.
Wait, can I ask what the pilot was?
Yes, it was a comedy about a girl who's a germaphobe, but she's so sort of like hungry and looking for love that she agrees to go on a blind date to a bowling alley, and chaos ensues.
That's like, oh, that's amazing. That feels like a really, really funny, like New Girl episode almost, like a very like rom-com-y kind of vibe.
I mean, it was definitely like we were watching Girls at that time. We were watching, all those female dating comedies. I'm blanking on so many, but yeah, exactly. It was definitely influenced by what I was watching at the time.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, I mean, speaking of like filming and stuff like that, I know that you've done so many things, but the one thing I knew of you from I'm so bad at talking. I shouldn't have a podcast. But the one thing I like really, really loved and knew, I've seen Diana the musical on Netflix probably like 15, 20 times. It's one of my favorite pro shots ever. I love it very much. I was wondering, obviously, when you took on this role, it was a huge process. I'm pretty sure you guys are one of the shows that like opened before COVID, then reopened after the pandemic
Yeah,
too. What
yeah.
was it like to not only have that big shift, but then also do this huge pro shot for Netflix? Because I know there are so many shows, like I think every show gets archived in some way, but was
Mhm.
there any like different capacity to making this like massive Netflix pro shot of the show?
Well, yes. I mean, the whole thing was huge in my life in so many ways, just because the world, everything that was going
Yeah.
on personally and in the world, and then this career, which was like whiplash in some ways, like
Yeah, absolutely.
gearing up really hard, like for this really physically demanding show, and then sort of it stopping, and then now we're going to Netflix. So there was lots going on in my life for the
Yeah,
whole of that
absolutely.
period. But it definitely was different in terms of there was no audience, which I think is another reason that some people don't like it, is
Mhm.
because it's a little dry. But with not having an audience, it meant that the seats could be taken out, and the cameras were on cranes, so
I was gonna
it
say,
wasn't.
'cause if I feel like compared to other pro shots that I've seen, it, like, has so many it feels more like a movie almost, like, it has so many angles and shots and everything.
Right. So there was the freedom to have cranes. There was the freedom for the camera to come on the stage. The other thing that was interesting was for the sound, they didn't want us amplified.
Mhm.
So because they wanted to add all the reverb and stuff on the back end for the
Yeah.
film. So if you can imagine, you're in this massive empty theater, but it's not amplified. So your voice was our natural um,
Oh. So
sound,
you have no mic
and
on or anything.
we're wearing it just for show.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, that we're not wearing it for show. It is picking up the raw sound, which is what they want. They didn't want to pick up like sound that's already been mixed and amplified. They
Okay.
wanted to pick up our
That's
actual
so
raw
interesting. I had no
voices.
idea that that was the case.
So it was completely like quiet. And the other thing is, there was no orchestra because they wanted as little interference with that core sound as possible. So it was just the MD playing very quietly on a keyboard.
Wait, really?
Yes.
I had no idea that this is how this worked. That's crazy.
So it took a lot of getting used to,
Yeah.
because you're used to this like big rock sound amplified, especially in the big dance numbers, and it
Absolutely, yeah.
wasn't. It was completely organic sound with a very quiet keyboard.
That that would be so difficult to go from having a huge Broadway show to doing it as, like, small as possible, but still
It
in the
was, and it was
space.
also like helpful with the cameras as well because everything just felt very reduced,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I
No,
think in that way
absolutely.
it was helpful. It wasn't like, "Oh my god, I'm trying to act natural, but my voice is huge." It was like, "Oh, I'm quiet and I'm on stage." But, then you add
That
all
is
the
so
all the
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's
Oh
how
my
they did
god,
that.
that's so sweet. Well, I'm so glad to know some behind the scenes action of that because it's a wonderful pro shot. But I wanna talk about something that I had no idea you were doing, and then when I found out about it, I did a ton of research on it, and I loved it. So I just wanted you to tell me Broadway weekends, what is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a summer camp for adults, a theater summer camp for adults, which I've been
Mhm.
running since 2017. I started it because, as I sort of mentioned already, I grew up in performing arts training. Like I
Yeah.
literally went to a boarding school for performing arts, and then I've been lucky to work, in this business. And often my favorite part of the process is the rehearsal period, especially if it's like creative or a new piece. And I just get so much out of it, and I always have. So I really wanted to recreate that experience,
Yeah.
that people could explore what that is like. And I think interestingly, what in this business, even though it's very competitive,
Mhm.
once you get into a cast, it's not competitive anymore actually, because everybody's got their track, and
Yeah.
there's not going to be changes or
There
anything
is
like
kind of a
that,
hard
right?
shift between like a really competitive spirit to like a really good family dynamic when you're in a cast.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And but that family dynamic is purposeful. It sort of is created in every creative environment because it allows people to relax and explore what they're bringing to the table, and it builds camaraderie. It helps people. So there's a lot of positive benefits to that
Yeah.
time that I really always feel in my life when I'm in a creative environment. So it was very much to create that. I mean, now the people who come now really range why they're there. At best, it's a fantasy. I mean, for some people, it's a fantasy camp basically, and whether they used to do it or they still do community theater or they want to do it uh,
Yeah.
as a sort of like something adventurous and something fun. There's people who come for that reasons. There's people who come for just sort of the love of it and the personal growth reasons. And then, more and more we have theater teachers coming, theater educators
That's so
specifically,
cool.
yeah, who are coming to basically pick up tips and tricks from the artist teaching them. At worst, it's just confirming what they already know, and they go back and they feel more confident to work on the tools in a
Yeah.
theater class and singing class and all those things. But also maybe there's new stuff because the people that are teaching it are Broadway artists who are currently pursuing this career, currently deal with rejection, currently deal with purpose as an artist, currently deal with growing physically and vocally and
Yeah.
handling new challenges. So at best they rub shoulders with those people and maybe gain some new inspiration or some joy from it, or a tip or a trick they can take back to their students. But it's really anyone over 18, and we've had people this year we had quite a few 22, 23-year-olds, which was really cool
Yeah.
because I felt so grown up, which was so weird. I was like, wow, we're a different generation. And we also have lots of people going all the way up to, we've had some people, 70, but
That's
and a
so
wide range of
awesome.
demographics, like
Yeah.
professionals to stay-at-home moms to people figuring out what they're doing with their lives, like a real place just to enjoy performing and exploring that side.
That's so cool. It reminds me a lot of when I was in Chicago doing comedy. I took classes at the IO while I was working at Second City, and at IO we would have people who were desperate to get into the comedy field, but then like lawyers who just wanted to get better at public speaking, and people who lived in the suburbs who just wanted like a fun thing to do that night. So it sounds like a really wonderful thing to just join a community of like a industry that you really enjoy. It sounds like not like a
Exactly.
competitive thing at all, like a really wonderful community building place.
And I think like community theater, as wonderful it is a big time commitment for a lot of
Mhm.
people.
Oh, yeah.
So there's definitely people who come back. We've had people now come to us 5, 6 years, 5, 6
That's
times in the
so
last,
cool.
every year. And I think it's because you do get this fix of it in this really intense like vacation way, but it's not something that you have to sort of maintain through the year. Or you
Mhm.
can work on it yourself and take singing classes and come back in a different state the next year. But you don't have to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So they can check this out at broadwayweekends.com. It's in New York, right?
Yes, we currently just run them in New York. That will be the case for the next few years. Like
No,
maybe
for
one
sure.
day we'll run, but like in New York,
Yeah.
the nice about it is, we pick a studio right slap bang in Times Square, and the schedule is packed, and it's this person coming from this show and this person coming from this show, and ding, 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 and it definitely adds to the experience of it.
That is so cool. I feel like it's something that like not only could people who just really enjoy the theater industry and just want to be a part of it for a week and feel that, I feel like it's also something great for like young people. Like you said, you had a couple 22, 23-year-olds. What a fun thing for like people working in New York City with a few extra weeks in the summer and the ability to do this, to network, to meet people, but then also just to be in a community of people who just love the art. Because I do feel like sometimes when you're young and you're in New York and you're trying to be an actor, it feels very competitive and grindy and intense. And this just sounds like a wonderful. Com- I love that it's that you refer to it as a summer camp because think
Yeah.
that is like so like there's so much nostalgia for me in like the idea of like summer camp and like spending time with your friends and like that special week where you get to see all your people. That's so cool. I love that people are coming back also like 5, 6 years in a row. That's amazing.
Yeah, it really has been. The things I've got out of it have been so special and not what I was expecting from running a business, but the people who continue to return really, feel like people I know at this point, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. Are there any Broadway actors or people from the industry that you've had come and teach or are coming this summer that you're really excited about or you've seen people really enjoy or anything?
Oh yeah, I mean, in the past we've had Annie Ashford, Jesse Mueller, like really big
Oh my
names come
gosh.
and teach for us. But we shape it on the current Tony schedule. So in the
Mm,
next few weeks, it's only February when we're recording this.
yeah.
They're all starting to open all the new shows.
Yeah.
So oh poor me, I can't wait. I'm gonna sort of spend my days off really watching all the new shows
Of course.
to really get an eye on like what show would make a great workshop. Like, does this show have great music that we could build a group ensemble singing workshop from? Does this show? There's one show that has circus this year, so what can we
Yeah.
build around circus? So it's really definitely the schedule is built off of the current Tony season and is therefore new every year.
Yeah.
And that we'll sort of get to that in the next few weeks.
For
March
sure.
March is on the calendar. Start thinking about the scheduling, the programming.
Oh, absolutely. No. This is a question that I didn't prep you for at all, but I feel like you are ready to answer. Is there anything in the upcoming season that you're really excited about? Because I know you just brought up Water for Elephants, and
I'm pretty excited about Water for Elephants. I mean, I love a circus moment.
oh, me too.
Um, and I love the movie. I definitely know it's gonna like hit my heartstrings. I can already like tell. I've heard the music's amazing.
I literally
Um,
heard the same thing. The people down at the Alliance Theater reached out to me and told me a little bit about it because it started there, and they were just like, "You're gonna love this show." I cannot wait. It's gonna be so rad.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I thank you so much for chatting with me. I have one last question. I love scenarios and like figuring out the brains. I feel like every actor has like dream roles and stuff like that. You're currently in a critically acclaimed revival of Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
You just got off a stint of playing Mrs. Lovett. Amazing. You're currently the standby for that and Beggar Woman. So dope. I was just wondering, after Sweeney is over, if you had no budget, no producing, nothing matters. If they were just like, what do
Oh,
you want to revive on Broadway? I just want to know,
oh
is there
my
a
gosh.
role or a show that comes to mind that you're like, I would love to do this?
Um, so it doesn't have to be on Broadway. A show I'd love to play. I was thinking like, what show would I love to play? I'd love to do The Sound of Music somewhere. I
Oh
mean,
my gosh, of
it's like my
course.
childhood favorite.
Yeah.
I love everything about Maria that she's, I love that character. So I definitely love to play that. But in terms of what I want to do next, I really don't know. I might just need to take a nap.
That's totally fair. I feel like if anyone deserves a nap, it's probably you. Yeah.
There was like a time in my life where I was very like, I got to originate. And in this business, you really have to be very purposeful because you have to like sometimes unemploy yourself to break a new glass ceiling.
Yeah.
And like and that was such the goal for such a long time. And then Diana, the culmination of that was Diana. That didn't just happen. I had to like really fight to like
Of course.
and then now here we are. The Sweeney Todd was the gift of the gods. I mean, like, I loved being the standby.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved getting to watch Annalie Ashford up close work. It will forever affect how I approach material and
Mhm.
auditions and the rehearsal room. And then I have loved being the standby where, I mean, it's been a fantastic company where they've made us feel so supported. Um, but when you're on, and when you're not on, um, your time is yours, and
Yeah. That is
it's the
so
best
that
one I've ever
that
had. So
sounds really nice.
so I don't know what is next, but I don't know. I feel like my ambitions or something is shifting, and like I'm just ready to just like maybe take a vacation and run the summer camp. Oh, but I am coming. I am playing drop release. This isn't even announced. Sweeney in Anything Goes at the Muni in August. We know Sweeney.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh my God, that's so exciting.
in my Sweeney Sutton era.
I was gonna say you're going from one Sutton to the other Sutton. You guys are
I
swapping
know.
places.
So I literally have on my calendar, who knows if we'll make it, that I'm going to go to tap class later today.
That is a class you need to be taking when going into Anything Goes.
I know, I don't tap. So that, I guess that is, I mean,
I was about to go, you don't tap? What do you mean?
well, I know. We got some work to do. I mean, I did do tap in high school.
Yeah.
But it's time to like step it up.
Well, I cannot wait. That's so exciting. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you so much for being on here. Jeanna de Waal, BroadwayWeekends.com. Go check that out. Is there anything else you want us to shout out before we say goodbye?
No, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being on here. And that's our show. Thank you so much for listening. I have so many people to thank, but first off, Jeanna de Waal, thank you so much for being our first interview on the show. We had an amazing time. If you want to support her, go check out BroadwayWeekends.com. If that sounded interesting to you, I know it sounded interesting to me. If you're an adult who wants to have that theater experience, have these wonderful educators come in and teach you, or if you're an educator and you just want to get new techniques as a teacher, an amazing way to do it. Broadway Weekends, go check it out. Jeanna de Waal, thank you so much for being here. Oh, and if you're near the Muni, go see her in Anything Goes. We got a little exclusive scoop for you on the pod. That was cool. Our first interview, we got an exclusive. That was very exciting to me. I got pumped up. But I want to thank a bunch of people. Thank you so much to Zach, Leah, and KJ, our team over at The Scene. I could not do this show without you. Go check out all of our stuff, thescenenews.com. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. It's absolutely amazing. Goes out every Saturday. I'm sure all of you listening are fans of the newsletter, but make sure you go check it out. Our new website, our Instagram, our TikTok, all of that stuff. If you want to see more theater content, you can check me out at Mediocre Jokes over there on TikTok, or my other theater podcast, Play to Z. But without anything else to say, I will end this episode the way I end every episode, and the way every student ends their first scene in class. And scene. See you next time.
The Scene podcast is made possible by our host, Justin Borak, our co-producers, Leah Barker and KJ Lampar, and our executive producer, Zach Dulli. Don't forget to follow the show wherever you get your podcasts to stay up to date with our latest theater antics and exclusive interviews. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you again next time.